Hello everyone, welcome to Slipjoint Sawyer. Today we were taking a look at another discontinued model from Victorinox, and this one is pretty cool. It's quite a rare model, and it's not one I really knew about too well until very recently. I picked this one up from Dan over at Blade Bridge Customs. He recently put one up for sale. Now this is an original, it's made with all original parts from the correct time period. It was just in a little bit of worse for wear shape, so he did take it apart and rebuild it and add some new scales to it, but happy to have it in my collection. It's one I've been looking at since I sort of found out it existed. But here's Dan's business card. It's got Blade Bridge Customs' logo there, and on the back you have all his contact details. So you've got sales, sharpening, servicing. www.bladebridge.co.uk is his website. You've got his name and his WhatsApp, and then I believe this QR code takes you to his website as well. And now along with that, you do have, I've got a really good presence on Etsy and Instagram. Instagram is the same as the front here. Now Etsy is vintage tool goods, but he does have the same logo. He's got a load of cool customers for sale up there at the moment, and he's bringing some really wonderful stuff to Sharp Show this year. So if you're in the UK and you're going to attend, or if you're not sure you're going to attend, make sure you come and check out Dan at Blade Bridge Customs. We've got a couple of collaboration things going on, so it's going to be a really cool time. I'm really looking forward to it. Just love working with Dan. He's such a fantastic guy, really generous. He's provided me with a lot of parts to make customs with, and he just gives you the best deals. He doesn't overcharge like a lot of people do. He's really fair with his prices, but make sure you're checking him out. He's a great guy. But this is what we're going to take a look at today. This is the Victorinox Engineer. Now, I'm calling it Engineer because this was a name given to it by collectors. There was no official name given by Victorinox as far as I'm aware, as this was a factory sort of special order for a French company called Telemanique. I want to say, I've probably butchered it, but they are a French electrical company who had a very certain use for a specific tool on this one, and it's probably the rarest tool that Victorinox have produced. It's maybe only on about 3 or 4 models, and this is the only 2-layer design with it on. And there is actually no model number for this one either. There were so limited quantities made, but we'll take a look. Now, it did come with blue Cellidor scales as standard, but they did have their logo stamped on the front here. Now, I will add a picture up here so you can see what the logo looked like. These obviously are new scales because it's a rebuild. We do have the wonderful Victorinox inlaid shield on this really vibrant blue Cellidor scales. Same on the back. You do get the scale tools, which is the tweezers and the toothpick. Said that back to back, but I'm sure you'll get what I mean. You also get the keyring on there as well, and we also have the older style corkscrew. I don't know if you can see the grooved line going through that. See if I can get that out so you can see. There, you can see the grooves a little bit better there. That's the older sort of style from the late 80s. And then you also had a mini screwdriver, which also came with this model as standard. You can see you've got the very small flat head on there as well. Just winds itself very nicely into the corkscrew, keeps it nice and secure and tidied out of the way. Wonderful snap on that, as you'd expect. That's the only thing for the back tools on this, just the corkscrew. Nice and nice and slender, nice and comfortable in the hand as well, with it being nice and slender. 2-layer design, 91mm, and that pretty much equates to, we've got 3.6 inches closed. And we'll just sort of take a walk through the tools, and then we'll take a look at the unique one last because it's really cool. On the right hand side then you have the Inline Phillips screwdriver, and that of course has a half stop for extra torque, and then a wonderful snap into the open position. Perfect for getting into those tighter grooves. Honestly, much better than the other Phillips screwdriver Victorinox offer, which is on the back. You can see how much this handle width is going to be compared to this one. Much tighter gaps you can get into this, whereas this one, it's only going to be really for exposed screws. But it's nice to have. It has its purposes and its uses. You can see that, of course, is on the half stop as well for that extra torqued position. And as you can see there, of course, there's no nail nick on this Phillips at all, as it sits nicely above the scales, and you can sort of just tuck your nail on top and just pull it open like this. Or you can also get your nail inside the sort of ridges of the screwdriver and open it that way as well. Got to be one of my favourite tools, especially on a 2-layer. I think that's fantastic to have, especially with that skinny handle. It really does make it pretty much like a normal screwdriver. On the other side of that then, you have the magnifying glass. Of course, this is the older style with it being in the grey plastic. See that it works pretty well. I can see it magnifying there. Of course, it's upside down because of the distance I'm away. No half stop on that. It's just a nice little action. I always find the older ones of these have a much better snap on the mag glass. Now the newer ones, they do snap down, but it's very weak, so it only sort of snaps down when it's very close to being closed, maybe snaps down here, whereas these ones really want to sort of fly down there with authority. Nice little nail nick at the top there to help you open it. Nice little snap on the open. Very useful tool. I know a lot of older collectors don't want to say you've got bad eyesight, but really handy for reading the tang stamp, especially on older models. If you want to work out if, for example, let's go for an example. So on models in like the late 80s and 90s, on the back they had the crossbow with the bolt, and now it's very hard to tell sometimes if that bolt is touching the crossbow to date it. But with this, you can get in there and you really can see, as long as it's not scratched to hell, and you can see this one here isn't touching. So it is very useful as well for dating knives. I often use it to help date case knives, things like that, or even tangs that are worn down or corroded on knives I'm restoring. This is very useful on any sort of model I use it on. We also get the main blade, and this is the standard 91mm main blade. You can see it is right at that 2.75 inches full blade length with a cutting edge of 2.4, so it's well within that UK legal limit. See, it has the older style tang stamp, which is Victorinox, Switzerland, stainless and Rossfry. Got the small V on there, and then on the back you can see we have the bolt touching the crossbow, which makes this between 76 and 86, I want to say. Give or take, depending on what parts I had left over, but these models were made in the mid to late 80s, so I'm going to say this is probably like 85, 86, this one. There's no sort of firm date for that, it just sort of says late 80s online, but based on the tang stamp and the sort of the age zone for that, I would say it's probably going to be like mid 80s. So interesting name, Engineer, given by the collectors, based on the fact that it was given to engineers, electrical engineers I should say, to complete certain tasks on a chipboard they were working on that needed a very small, thin but long flathead screwdriver. And this is called the Technician's tool. So you got the nail nick on there. Unusual for this one is you have grind lines on it. Normally you have like a polished finish, but you can see grind lines on there. Same on the back as well. And you have that nice fine point on the flathead screwdriver. A nice sort of cut down there to make it really fine, and the stock on it is much thicker than what you'd expect to get on maybe a pen blade. It's just a really nice sturdy tool to use, and of course that has a half stop on it as well if you want to get a little bit extra torque. Of course, with the end being so thin, I wouldn't go prying too much to it, or it's likely to just bend. But as a unique tool, I'm pretty sure it's only on a maximum of 4 models, so really glad to get this one in my collection. Slowly getting towards getting all the 91mm, still a while to go, but doing pretty well. But there we go, Victorinox Engineer. Discontinued a long time ago, only produced for that one company, which was Telemanique. Probably butchered that again, but you know, not French. Really hope you enjoyed this review. Unfortunately, no model number, as it's such limited numbers, but please be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out. Matt's got a channel, man sharp as a blade. Slipjoint Sawyer is the name he made. Pocket knives until they flow with flair. Restorations done with craftsman's care. Rusty steel polish bright in his hands. Old souls revived with a steady glance. Views keep climbing like a jagged peak. One shot riddles, hammer sparks they speak. Slipjoint Sawyer grinding through the night. Pocket knives gleam under flickering light. Matt's got the touch, man, turning steel to gold. Every story cut deep, every piece sold.